They're letting the punters bet 2-1 on. Two's on Celtic Swing. Next in the market, 9-1 Bishop of Cashel. 10-1 easier to back Art of War and Peace Envoy. 14-1 Rambrino and Moon King and Bari. 25-1 Knight Commander. 66-1 Henry Curler. And Kevin Darley late in the parade ring for an unspecified reason. So Bob Mason waiting there with Celtic Swing. Jimmy, what is it, do you feel, that makes him potentially such a great horse?
What we're looking at now, Julian, just look at that. There's Bob Mason all on his own, taking the sheet off. All he's thinking of is having a mouthful of grass. That's what all great horses, that's the temperament that they should have. He's alert, he's taking everything in, as you can see, but he's not a wet hair in him. He's not worrying at all, just waiting quietly there in the centre of the ring to get Kevin Darley into the saddle.
And the great thing about him is he's got this terrific stride on him, and we saw this especially at Ascot last year when he won the Hyperion Stakes. He bowled along, and Jimmy, he just seems to be taking one stride to the others taking 1.5.
This is the thing, another all great horses have, Julian. They can quicken, which he's doing here. And the glory for Kevin Darley is that he can press the go faster button at any stage in the race. As you can see there, just look at the daylight he's put in between himself and this runner-up. And, well, he made plenty of use of him that day. You can hold him up for a late run, but you can also push the starter to go and 3 furlongs, 4 furlongs out. He's a jockey's dream, really, because you can ride him in any fashion.
Yeah, he beat the course record that day, and he's hardened from 2-1 to 2-1 on to 9-4 on. But it's not a one-horse race. This is Knight Commander, the mount of Frankie Dettori, followed out by Peace Envoy, well spoken of last autumn, Pat Edery. Behind him, Bishop of Cashel, the second favourite, striking-looking horse. Bill Gredley's colours on Henry Curler. Sheikh Hamdan's on Bari. Successful week for Sheikh Hamdan. And then the horse that's attracting all the gazes. And look at those pricked ears. He knows he's the star, and he's looking at the cameras. Well, where's the next lot of cameras, he's saying. And Kevin Darley, what a very, very important moment this is for him. Normally a very relaxed guy, but he knows this is the horse of his life.
As he walks out onto the course, taking it all in, as you say, Julian. He's done nothing wrong, as Peter O'Sullivan was saying, the only undefeated colt in the race, winner of all of his 3 starts, and how he won his last race at Doncaster at the back end of the season, lengthening and going further and further away. And this is what the racing public love to see. They love a champion, a true champion. Well, I for one hope he's just as impressive this year as he was last, because it brings the people through the turnstiles, and it gives you something to talk about in the evenings afterwards.
Frankie Dettori called him a monster. I don't know if that's the right word, but he was monstrously impressive that day. Named by Graham Cowdrey, the Kent cricketer, after a Van Morrison album track. Celtic Swing by Damister out of Celtic Ring. And it's not such a fluke, the breeding, because the Celtic Ring's already bred one very nice horse, but sadly after he won his first race or second race by 10 lengths at Warwick, he broke a leg. So not so much a freak. And doesn't he go down well?
Just look at those quarters as well. If you tip some water on them, they'd run just off the back like a gutter. You can see the muscle either side. Lady Ayres has done the most wonderful job with this colt. I was down there about a fortnight ago at an open day, and he did a couple of canters, but he took it all in his stride. And what has been lovely to watch, they haven't really wrapped this horse up in cotton wool. They've kept him just as a normal horse, which I think a necessity with a champion, because if you were inclined to be frightened of anything you're going to do with them, sometimes you undo them. And well, there you see, for me, a champion. He's going down in the hands of Kevin Darley, and I wouldn't think there's not a jockey in the country today that's not envying Kevin at this moment. But as Julian was saying, it's by far a one-horse race, although strictly on the book, 8 of his 8 opponents shouldn't get anywhere near him today. And but that's not true in racing. And in the Greenham, this straight 7 furlongs, I've seen some funny things happen, Julian. I've seen jockeys having to hold their mounts up for a short run, and they've been denied it, and I've seen some fluke results. But you were saying, has the Greenham, in fact, become a non-Guinness trial, you might say? Well, I think a lot of horses that have gone on to win the Guinness have been placed in this race, and the jockeys don't really like to give their mounts a hard race before the Guinness, so sometimes they've given best where they could have perhaps won a short head. They've said, this is not today, this is not the Guinness, and of course the horses found that bit extra with a run and gone on and won the big race on the big day.
Is that what you did on Any for Life?
Thank you very much, Jim. I think Jeremy Tree thought I had. The late Jeremy Tree, that was.
Now, what about the opposition? Another lovely horse, Bishop of Cashel, son of Warning, out of a saddler's Wells mare. He won the Criterium de Maison Lafitte on heavy ground last autumn. All his runs, in fact, have been on soft or heavy ground so far. This is good ground, a most attractive horse.
He was also second here in the Horace Hill behind Painter's Row.
That's Art of War. Impressive winner of his first 2 races, but a big disappointment in the Middle Park Stakes. In fact, there's something not unlike him, although he hasn't got the substance, the Celtic Swing. When he turns around, you can see he's nearly a dark brown horse, and he's got that white stripe on his face.
Roger Charlton thought that he'd gone over the top in the Middle Park at Newmarket. He pulled very hard, got very upset, and he was very impressive before that. He'd won his 2 starts, as you say, 11-1 from 10-1.
This is Peace Envoy, a horse who had a big reputation last autumn. He was second first time up, and then he won very easily at Yarmouth in October. But he hasn't so far been setting the gallops alight this spring.
Never been put in the deep ends, and as you say, might need a little bit more time. But Henry Cecil thinks a bit of him, and he's a good-looking colt, in fact, by Warning, who also used to run in these colours.
Another lovely horse, Bari, son of Riverman out of a Nijinsky mare. He was second in his first 3 runs last year, all over 7 furlongs. Then he was pulled back to 6 furlongs, and he won easily at Nottingham. He's attractive, good-looking. Willie Carson thinks he's a sprinter. John Dunlop thinks he's going to stay okay. I like the horse a lot.
Got a bit of size about him, Julian, but he hasn't been put in the deep end yet. Well, he's really in the deep end today, all 10 foot of it.
Willie Carson, 52 years old. He's won on Munwa, Derby horse, and Aquarid this week. Second in the free handicap on Haraya. He's going to have another great year. Number 7 is Moon King, the mount of Walter Swinburne. He was placed in the Coventry Stakes and Gimcrack Stakes last year, and Richard Hannon expects him to run very well today.
Yeah, the only disappointing run he put up last year, in fact, was in the Mill Reef Stakes here at Newbury.
There's the other Richard Hannon runner, Knight Commander in the background, but in the foreground, this is the favourite. Takes a look around, goes in very quietly and sensibly. Knight Commander, the outsider of the 2 Hannon runners. Bishop of Cashel goes through picture. Frankie Dettorius, seen it all before. Let's join Peter O'Sullivan.
Just 3 more to go. This is Bari and Willie Carson. 9-4 on Celtic Swing, 10-1 Peace Envoy, 12-1 Bishop of Cashel and Art of War, 14 Bari, 16 Rambrino and Moon King, 25 Knight Commander, and 100 Henry Curler. And this is the 14-1 chance. Bari and Willie Carson, Pat Edery just waiting in the background there. Peace Envoy, Bari due into stall number 5, goes in. Now Peace Envoy and Pat Edery. Henry Curler and Mark Rimmer. Still asking for odds of 9-4 in the ring. Moon King nearest to us, and that's it. They're all installed for the triple print Greenham. And they're running, and Moon King breaks fast towards the near side, and Art of War over on the far side, and now Celtic Swing going up to join Art of War. Art of War the leader from Celtic Swing, then comes Rambrino on the far side. On the near side it's Moon King, and just in behind Moon King is Bari and Knight Commander, Peace Envoy over on the far side, and it's Art of War from Celtic Swing. In third place, Moon King, 4 Rambrino. Art of War as they come to the 4 furlong pole. The leader from Celtic Swing, the Sheepskin Nose Band. Peace Envoy making ground over on the far side with Rambrino. On the near side, Moon King. It's still Art of War from Celtic Swing, travelling sweetly on the near side. Then comes Moon King. They're racing down now towards the 2 furlong pole in the triple print Greenham. And it's Celtic Swing who's come to take it up now over on the far side, Rambrino. And Kevin Darley asks for a bit more speed now. And Celtic Swing says you've got it. He's stretching as he comes to the furlong pole now. Celtic Swing from Bari in second, but is there a second? There's no second. Celtic Swing is striding away from Bari and racing up towards the line. Celtic Swing is going to win the triple print Greenham in impressive style. Celtic Swing is the winner. Bari is second. Moon King is third. 4 Peace Envoy, 5 came Rambrino, and then Henry Curler, and then Knight Commander, and then behind them Bishop of Cashel, and the early leader Art of War was last. And so the result of the 1995 triple print Greenham Stakes is first, number 4 Celtic Swing, owned by Mr. Peter Saville, trained by Lady Harris and ridden by Kevin Darley. Second was number 2 Bari, owned by Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum, trained by John Dunlop and ridden by Willie Carson. And third was number 7 Moon King, owned by Mr. Mohammed Suhail, trained by Richard Hannon and ridden by Walter Swinburne, with fourth number 8 Peace Envoy. So Celtic Swing, who won his 3 races as a 2-year-old by an aggregate of 24 lengths, has not won so far this time, but he's won it sweetly enough. And he's odds on now with most firms for the 2,000 guineas.
Yes, he's won by a margin which was diminishing in the last 50 yards as Kevin eased him up. Only a length and a half down at the line, Bari, but look how far back the third horse is. It looks a good 8 lengths, and well, that really is a long gap. He's got there eventually. It's Moon King just in front of number 8 Peace Envoy and number 9 Rambrino.
And the immediate reaction, Corals go 13-8 on for the 2,000 guineas. Sporting Index 7-4 on, and Ladbrokes go evens from 5-4. And this outstandingly the best price about this horse, who won at 9-4 on today, from Bari 14-1, with Moon King 16-1 at distant third. Henry Cecil in the foreground there. A very impressive winner, one would have to say. What a relief for Lady Harris. Terribly anxious moments. The time between the 2-year-old career and the first outing as a 3-year-old. He asked for a bit of extra foot from him, 2 out Kevin, and Celtic responded at once. He just eased him towards the line, having had a really good blow. Good run, of course, by Bari, and Bari's probably a pretty decent horse too. His stable's horses have been running absolutely out of their skin. So great applause for this star Celtic Swing, being led in by Peter Saville, a British-owned winner of a real classic trial.
Well, it was an ideal trial in the end, and the problem that Kevin had was not to get him doing too much, not to give him too tough a race 2 weeks before the Guineas, and when Art of War has jumped out of the stalls and run far too free for Jason Weaver, that's given Kevin the sort of lead that he wants early on. Walter Swinburne on Moon King at this side, but 2 or 3 others in the race, Jimmy, running a little bit too free early on.
They were. Henry Kohler, he was running very, very free, as you say. A lot of the runners were running a bit free on this, their first run of the season, especially Art of War. But as you say, this did really suit Kevin Darley. Kevin was able to get Celtic Swing to drop his bridle, as you can see there. He was just nodding along at his own pace. But let's go back to Bari. I think Bari's a very good horse. That's Willie Carson tucked in behind. He's got the run of the race. He's got Celtic Swing's bottom to follow there, and Bari, in fact, has dropped his bridle with Willie and is travelling very much like a good horse, Julian.
He was. Coming to the 2, I think some people were thinking, when's Kevin going to do something? Well, now he does. He just shakes him up, gives him a slap down the shoulder, and very quickly he puts 3 lengths between himself and Peace Envoy, but Willie follows him through. So Kevin has to ask him to quicken again, and see that he's looking at the crowd a bit. He's hearing the crowd. He's gone 3 or 4 lengths clear, and just in the last 50 yards, Kevin eases him up a bit.
But as we were saying, Bari gives nothing away here. He sticks to him all the way to the line. I think he's going to grow into a very good horse, but he's gave Celtic Swing a trial today. Celtic Swing, for me, has come through it with flying colours.
The very delighted Peter Saville, the owner of Celtic Swing. Peter, that must be an enormous relief after all the nerves of the last few months.
Yeah, very relieved indeed, yes. I'm glad that he did it, and he did it very well.
And what was Kevin Darley's first reaction when he came back?
Well, Kevin said they weren't quick enough to lead him, and he was just sitting there very comfortably, and he showed the acceleration to go to the front, and he said once he hit the front, that it was all over, and the horse was just dossing, doing absolutely nothing with him.
Did he feel he would have time to come on a little bit from this race before the Guineas?
I'm sure he will, because that's bound to sharpen him up. He's been very laid back at home, and I'm sure he's going to come on for that. He must do.
All sorts of dreams have been constructed around this horse over the winter. It seems the whole nation wants this horse to be the superstar that he's already been painted. How likely is it, in your view, that it will happen now?
Well, I think that's the first step in a long, long road. I mean, things can only get more difficult. They're not going to get any easier. But I'm very pleased with what I've seen there. And the intention wasn't to go and win by a big margin today. The intention was to get him to the races relaxed and win nicely and bring him on ready for the Guineas.
And he was very much educating him today, wasn't he?
Yes, he is. I mean, he's a pretty switched-on horse. He knows what he's doing, and he's very alert and very aware. And I couldn't be more delighted with the way he's performed.